He stopped again. The crazy, dumbass son of a bitch stopped again.
He's halfway between stations. What the hell's going on down
Your
there?
mental case. I'm gonna nail his pecker to the goddamn wall for this.
Guys, take it easy, will you?
Oh, come on. If I gotta watch my language just because they let a few broads in, I'm gonna quit. How the hell can you run a goddamn railroad without swearing?
Hey guys, welcome back to the Blood and Black Rum podcast. I'm Ryan from closeplantation.com. I'm joined with my co-host Martin.
How's it going?
We're doing pretty well. And today, talking about a subject that I don't think we've really covered much in the past. Talking about trains. Specifically.
Wow. Way to spoil it. I was going to be like, so Ryan, we left you on a cliffhanger last time.
That's right. Yeah, right. I was tasked with picking out the movie for today. And actually, funny story.
No, I was going to say,
you gave us three, right? You gave us three options. The options were...
The Getaway, Dirty Harry, and The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3.
There's the common theme, but but obviously different movies. And for some reason, I don't know why, all of a sudden, I was just like, Martin said, well, have you picked a movie yet? And I was like, he didn't give me the options again. He was just like, did you pick a movie? And I said, yeah, Poseidon. and Martin was like, the Poseidon adventure, eh? And at the time, I didn't really know why he said that like that. Because I was like, yeah, you gave me the option, right? Like, and so I picked Poseidon adventure. And then I was thinking about it and I was like, we just really recently did a Gene Hackman movie. Like, is it too much Gene Hackman? I mean, I guess you can never have too much Gene Hackman. But I was like, is it too soon to do another Gene movie? And Martin's like, well, that wasn't even the option, but I don't know where the Poseidon adventure came from because that wasn't even the option. And I was like, oh shit. What? I was like,
which is hilarious because I was thinking the entire time, like, why is he fucking mentioning the Poseidon? Like,
out of nowhere, Poseidon adventure.
like a goddamn, Alzheimer's patient. Like, no!
Yeah, I have no idea. I have no idea where I got it from. I guess I just was, again, I was thinking, like you had said, the Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. I must have been thinking Pelham, Poseidon. Somewhere along the way, the signals got scrambled. And, yeah. It's a good thing I didn't just say Under Siege 2 or something. Yeah. Be really off.
No, that's for 90s action.
Yeah. But anyway, yes. I don't know why, but we're not doing Poseidon Adventure. Martin set me straight, and I picked The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, which is about a subway in New York City. And so this movie reminds me a little bit about obviously you remember Ed, previous family friend Ed, and his obsession with trains. And he used to be obsessed with not The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, but he was obsessed with that train movie, like Unstoppable or something like that. I think it was called.
No, you're thinking of Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, no,
where Peter Parker, stops the train from going off.
No, it was Unstoppable, the 2010 movie with Denzel Washington, which is kind of funny again because this movie, The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, was remade in 2009, which was a remake with Denzel Washington.
It also has Denzel Washington.
Exactly, it also has Denzel Washington, and not only that, but I believe that and let me just double check this, but yes, that's true. The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3 was actually produced and directed by Tony Scott, who also did Unstoppable the year after. So for whatever reason, Tony Scott was also really hooked on trains at that time. But whatever the case may be, taking up Pelham 1, 2, 3 kind of reminds me of that whole time period when Ed was obsessed with trains and watching Unstoppable. Like literally I'm not even joking, like every day watching Unstoppable, like a little kid who couldn't get enough movies. It's just what it reminds me of. And there's some weird coincidences there with Tony Scott and the remake of Taking Pelham 1, 2, 3. It's just funny. So anyway, how well versed are you in trains? How are you a train aficionado? Are you?
That's not where my autism lies. It lies into a lot of other things, but it's not not my train.
Not trains. No, me either.
Not really a mechanics guy either.
Planes, trains, automobiles.
No, the only things I really know are like cars, like older car models and stuff. That's because my dad was big into cars and stuff, and would point that out. So
yeah. I mean, I would say I'm also not a train aficionado. Although, I mean, these movies, especially the Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, is like the classic idea of the train heist of, like the Western style train heist taken to
modernized. To New York City. Take it out of the West and bring it down to the Bronx.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. I think the idea of it being sort of a proto-Western, like you said, modernized, where we are also following the heist itself and the robbers is a pretty cool idea that kind of takes that Western aesthetic and puts it into a city, especially during the time. Again, we've talked about this, but again, this movie released in 1974 at a time when New York City was a bastion for crime. It was a very specific time period, which this is one that I don't know if we need to harp on it again and again, but this is one that we come back to in pretty much every movie that we've taken on from the 70s at this point has been based in 1970s New York City.
I think again, that's more it just kind of shows the media and perception of what is going on compared to probably what the reality is. Yes, I know. I'm not going to sit here and say, 1970s New York City was a bastion of safety. But it's also not this intrusive, overly, ridiculous crime hub where,
the Wild West.
Where you need, Charles Bronson with an 1918, and mowing down 50 gang members, for
to be honest with you,
spitting on Granny's hair.
Pelham 1, 2, 3 seems like a safer subway system than we have now. That I would say, here in the New York City subway system, where you see all of these various
people who care.
Well, yeah, but not only that, but the news from right now, seeing people set on fire on the subways, random stabbings, just randomly, people pushed onto tracks. It seems like a safer place to be, at least in Pelham 1, 2, 3's universe. You have some fairly considerate robbers, and we would rather not murder these hostages if we could spare it. So
not only that, the passengers, it's just another day. Yes, yeah. They're not automatically freaking out or anything. They're just hey, assholes.
Let's talk about that as we get into the movie. But I guess we should say, have you seen the Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3 before?
Yes, I have.
Not your first rodeo.
It's not my first rodeo. It's a film that I mentioned a bunch of times. So I think it would have been. It's definitely in our oeuvre of, vigilante, neo-crime, neo-noir films of this, nice 70s oeuvre that we got going on. So,
yep.
It's been a long while since I've seen it. I remember seeing it back in college. It was either on. Pretty sure it was on TMC one night, just randomly, when they were because TMC kind of TCM, Turner Classic Movies, they don't really bleed that much into past 77, but it's 74, but even early 70s they don't really touch unless they got a theme going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was probably one of the late night binges I was on. I saw it once, and then I saw it again not that long after in college again. And it's always been one of those films like Death Wish. It's always just kind of stuck out in my head of what a nice little film this is. And I haven't probably seen it in 15 years now, so it's been a good while.
Yeah, I've never seen it before. It's my first time. I've definitely heard of it before, and I always thought the title is very alluring because of the idea of this first of all, it's the 1, 2, 3 is spelled out as well. So it's kind of just got like a weird, alluring quality to it that makes you immediately pulled into like, what is Pelham 1, 2, 3? What is that? And I don't know. I think like the title itself, very appropriate. It makes sense that like, you know, that was the name of the novel. That's the name of the movie. That's the name of the remake. And like, there was no, you know, alternative title here that was shopped. They stuck with the taking it Pelham 1, 2, 3, and it sounds cool. Just sounds pretty badass. So, but other than that, that's pretty much all I knew about it. Train movie and cool title. So, and also cool box art as well, or poster artwork, which again, another I guess penchant for the 70s movies is to have a pretty wicked awesome artwork poster, which I think this one really nails. You know, the visual style, the actually capturing the element of the movie too, which sometimes, you know, from the 70s posters maybe did not do such a good job of actually showcasing what's happening in the movie. Taking Pelham 1, 2, 3 is pretty spot on with what actually happens in the film. So, and they even got those 2 ragamuffin kids in there on the poster. So, which I'm sure we'll talk about as well as we get in. All right, and then for the final set dressings, ever been on a subway before?
No.
Or a train?
No.
I have been on a subway, not New York City subway. Never been on New York City subway. Been on other subways, just never on the New York City subway. Cool experience, though. Everybody should try it once. Okay, what are we drinking today?
We got a gift from the Fidens mule.
It's a gift from the heavens.
By gift, I mean I still had to pay for it, so it wasn't technically a gift. But the gift is the gift is the mule, muling of it.
That's right.
So.
Yeah. There's no additional price on
there's
the
no
mule.
There's no tariff of this good, you know.
Yeah.
From going out to Albany County, but yeah. So Fidens, if you're not aware, is a local craft brewery we have around here that specializes in big, bold, beautiful, very big, very beautiful NIPA IPAs, and we've had a bunch of their selection on here. It's one of our favorite breweries. And so, but I mean, recently we haven't really had any because they've kind of made it. I don't know if we've had it on since they kind of changed. I can't remember the last Fidens beer we've done out here, but ever since they changed to like selling their stuff as 4-packs instead of singles, and pricing and kind of making the whole outlet look like a shitty bodega, like, you know, best $30 smash burger you're ever gonna have type of place. But the beer's still good. You know, just haven't been feeling too much up to it, especially like Treehouse down the way, like, you know. But we were graced by our lovely Fidens mule. They recently released a version of their Jasper, which is one of their big NIPAs. They got a billion different varieties of it. That's kind of the fun. All the differences they do with it. And this time, they have a triple Jasper with Peacharine. Now, I'll let you lead into it because I'm an ignoramus and I don't know what Peacharine is.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like I think it's like a man-made style hop. Like, you know how they have the hybrid style hops now? I believe Peacharine is one of those hybrid experimental versions that for the most part, they used to be calling like just by numbers, like HBC 175 or whatever they used to call it. I can't remember. But like in general, you know, they start out with these experimental hops and you might get them in like a very limited batch from some of your brewers. And then eventually people start to figure out like, oh yeah, people really like this type of hop. Like it pairs well with a lot of different things. And so we're going to give it an official name instead of just, like assigning it a number of different type of hybrid. So I believe that's probably where Peacharine started from. It's not like a general hop that you would normally find, but people have been experimenting with it. And of course, the proliferation of hazy and New England style IPAs. It's become a big, it's obviously lends itself to that style of beer because of the peachiness and the citrusness of what people expect from a hazy IPA. So just elevates those elements to it. And of course, with this one, Triple Jasper with Peacharine, basically Fidens is taking their traditional Jasper, which is basically their staple at this point, the beer that really put them on the map as an IPA. Their Jasper IPA is probably one of their first beers. It's their one that they keep coming back to, and they keep like modifying it a little bit. So they have different Jaspers where they use the same base, but then they use different hops in it. And so this one is a Jasper that contains the Citra, but then they added Peacharine to it as well. But it's also a triple, which is another thing that they've been doing of late, is taking their general, most of the time they dabble in double IPAs, if they're not putting out a regular IPA. But for the most part, they've been trying to take most of their beers and turn them into triples as well by doing, triple the hopping and whirlpool and everything else that they do. And in this case, they've infused Peacharine with it as well. So this beer is cracking 10%. And that's, I think, a little bit dangerous too, because this thing is really easy to drink down. It doesn't really feel like a triple to me in terms of like how it tastes or the alcohol content. Like one thing that you notice with triples, they tend to get a lot sweeter as you continue to add on. So triples and quadruples tend to be very, very sweet. And then that's probably true of the Triple Jasper with Peacharine as well. I think that it is kind of sweet, so that kind of is your lead into that being a triple. But other than that, like the alcohol content does not feel like too terribly overpowering. And I think that this is a really, really solid base, because obviously Jasper is really great. There's really no, there's a consensus that Jasper is definitely one of their best beers. It probably has won awards, to be honest with you. And so that's just basically takes the base greatness of the Jasper and adds that Peacharine and really bumps it up a little bit. And it's really, really great. I don't really have any complaints for this. I think that the sweetness is still, it's high, but it's not overpowering or overwhelming. The Peacharine gives that nice peach and stone fruit flavor to it, which melds with the Citra that's already in there. So for a nice citrus, hazy, peachy stone fruit taste to it. All told, this is really great. The only thing you got to be careful with is the alcohol content at 10%. You're really, you're probably going to suck this down. And then, after the fact, you're going to be left wondering what the hell happened because you're feeling it. So I think it's really great. Really no complaints here. How about you?
Like it a lot. I will definitely be feeling it by the end of the episode. Yeah. It's really good. Like again, as you said, the Jasper's really good. It's got a big citrus hop bite to it. And as you've said a billion times before, triples tend to be a lot sweeter than doubles. Like doubles just kind of have like a straight just like alcohol kick. This one seems to be sweeter. The Peacharine hop itself, I don't know if this is why they gave it the name. This does have like a peach ring taste to it, nice sweetness to it. Like a white grape white grape taste to it, like a peach ring. Complements it really well. Wasn't really kind of thinking that would go well, even though I love peach. Very easy to drink. It's nice and crisp. It's really good. This is like a worthwhile beer. I definitely say go out, check it out. It's you kind of hit all the notes for it. Like it's damn good. It's
yeah. Again, it's one of those beers where it's like it's hard to find the right words to describe it, but when you have it, you'll notice that it's just overwhelmingly flavorful, creamy, and all of that stuff. So very good, very, very good.
I just kind of noticed that as you said that, I'm like, oh, that mouthfeel kind of is creamy. I don't know if that's just you putting words into my palate, but delightful.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, too, I think we've had one other, or at least I have had one other of the Triple Jaspers, because they've done a couple of these with different hops. And I believe I've had, if I just check real quick, I've had the Triple Jasper with Nelson as well. I'm not sure if you have either.
I think I have.
I feel like, yes, you have as well. Yeah, we had that one other time, I think, when we went to
Fidens proper.
either Fidens or at Mohawk Tap Room. But either one, I think we had it at one point, and that one was also really tasty. I like when they experiment with the different hop varietals in the batch. It's pretty cool.
We have to definitely go back to Mohawk Tap Room.
Yeah, they got a lot of good stuff there too. So, all right. So getting into the Taking Up Pelham 1, 2, 3. I mean, obviously we can't start off the podcast without talking about the coolness of that opening. From the first starting point of the credits, where you get that nice jazz number that really,
beautiful. It's like Cowboy Bebop, Lupin, like just traditional free form, like
the film really just busts in with that jazz soundtrack right at the beginning. And to be honest with you too, the movie does not use music that often. It is very, very sporadic with how it's using the music and the jazz score. But when it does, man, it's really punctuated in there. And that first opening sequence of the credits, just all black with the title screen and the jazz, it's great. I love it. It really gets you excited for the rest of what's to come. And then not only that, but the whole setup at the beginning is like the best part about heist movies, I think. The how you see it come together, right? If you think about a lot of heist movies, especially stuff now that you think about like Ocean's 11, more contemporary movies, a lot of contemporary movies have this fascination with seeing the plan come together before it does, right? So planning it out. A lot of the part of the heist is like the whole boring makeup of the heist. How, what are you working on to get ready for doing the actual heist? And a lot of the movie is situated around planning the heist. In the Taking Up Pelham 1, 2, 3, at the beginning of the film, you do not get that. You don't get any of the plans. You don't see you don't get to meet any of these dudes. All you see is looking dudes getting on a train. They all have the same type of getup. They've got a nice, what do you call that? Like a bowler hat or whatever. I don't know, whatever it's called. You've got, they have like a valise or a suitcase. They've got their tweed jackets on, and they've got a mustache and sometimes glasses. And that's really, and like all these guys, you see them getting on the train, and just as the audience, something's happening. There is something being planned here. It's a great, very suspenseful method of direction from the director, Joseph Sargent. I really like it a lot. Anything there that I didn't point out that you want to know about, like the actual opening there?
No, it's a great little setup. It's just like, as we get to see the whole premise right there.
Yeah.
Within the first, 5-10 minutes, train running. One man's that looks like, they're up to no good, enters a car. They do that a couple of times as they go to stop to stop, and then freeze. This is a holdup.
You kind of get that, like you were saying too, and I think that's true of Pelham 1, 2, 3, is there's a whole neo-noir style here. So it's pretty clear from their disguise, their getup, that it is mimicking sort of the noir elements of the 40s. And even though, again, we're still in 1974, so a lot of the fashion trends here are much different than contemporary, as it is today. You could still note that the whole disguise and the way that they're Tommy Gunn-esque things, it's very noir-like in the way that it's played out. And I really like the fact that the film does not need to really handhold the audience in terms of what is being set up for the heist itself. You kind of get the idea as it keeps going along, and we're kind of privy to the details as we need to find them out. And as our other character, played by Walter Matthau, the Lieutenant Garber of the New York Transit Police, is kind of given those details as well. So the film kind of lets that all foment and come to fruition as it happens, instead of forcing the viewer to have any sort of background knowledge about these guys. And the other cool thing about Pelham 1, 2, 3 is it really does not spend much time on the backstory of any of the hijackers. We get a little bit of back and forth banter that kind of talks about their backstory and why they might be doing this. But a couple of them are kind of left just not really fleshed out. They're just kind of there. specifically Mr. Brown. All he really has as a character is a stutter, right? Basically, other than that, there's really no other backstory that we get for him.
How do you like didn't that nice how Reservoir Dogs is basically the aftermath of taking Pelham 1, 2, 3 in reverse.
Yeah, it pretty much is. I mean, I did think that was funny.
I'd say a heist gone wrong and the aftermath of what to do.
Sure, yeah, and the names of colors and not using your name. I did really like that one part where Mr. Green is he's kind of like the kindly dude of the bunch. He's kind of the slightly older than everybody else, and he's kind of like this kindly guy who doesn't want to see anything go awry. And so at one point, because he's driving the train and when they take over the conductor's station there, the conductor's kind of talking to him and is like, yeah, I've been doing this for 20 years. How long you been doing this for? And then Blue, Robert Shaw, is basically like, yeah, why don't you tell him all about yourself? Just hinting again at the fact that, we don't really get much information about these guys. And that's on purpose. They don't want to have their backstories known.
Well, you don't need to know.
Right, exactly.
It's about the height. Like, for this film were to be done today, it'd be a 2.5 hour long. Why is Mr. Green doing this? Well, his mother's got diabetes and her foot was just amputated.
Yeah.
And because America's such a shitty country with terrible health care,
you'd have to spend a half hour with each character before get into the heist. And, Yeah, and I mean, that kind of really came to mind because, again, we talk about this a lot, but most contemporary movies of this kind, you're looking at like a 2.5 hour movie, really jam-packed with stuff, maybe unnecessary stuff, overlong, not, half-baked. And I feel like the Taken Pelham 1, 2, 3, for the most part, is really concise with the way that it handles all this stuff. And you're kind of there in the moment too, because, of course there's some leeway here. I'm not saying we're sitting there for like the whole 3 or 4 hours that the heist takes place, but for the most part, the passage of time seems pretty realistic to the audience. And, you're kind of in the moment with them, which I liked a lot. I think that adds to the suspense, is just being there, as a passenger on there. So one thing I wanted to point out though, well, especially at the beginning, I do think that the film spends a little bit too much time with Garber at the beginning. This part does seem like a little bit of hand-holding as Garber is ushering a bunch of Japanese businessmen through transit.
You didn't like the nice, polite racism of that whole scene?
Oh yeah, a lot of racism. And a lot of sexism throughout Taken Pelham 1, 2, 3, for sure.
Listen. You got to remember, this was like still not even a decade after the Civil Rights Act. Of course, a train gets heisted after women are up there losing their goddamn wedding rings in the toilet. Fucking idiots.
Yeah, I mean, the film makes a pretty big point to point, and I'm not saying that the Pelham 1, 2, 3 is actually condoning a lot of this, because it does seem to make fun of these guys a little bit. Like, of course,
they're Neanderthals.
Yeah, kind of. Like, I mean, it's kind of at the expense of them. Like Kaz, who talks about the woman's wedding ring, kind of looks like an idiot because he, of course, is the one that says, "Oh, I'm going to handle things." Goes down and just gets shot immediately. So
Well, let's say when Walter Matthau's like, "Get these monkeys out of here," and they're like, "We'll leave." Like all of a sudden, the Japanese are speaking, plain English. They were just being polite and quiet, and they're like, "We'll see ourselves out. Thank you." And he's like, he just kind of is like looking like he's gonna grab his collar and go like,
with the steam coming, like a steam engine. Yeah, I know. I mean, there is definitely a lot of casual racism here. I do think that the film is kind of pointing fun at that a little bit, especially, and I'm not a huge historian here at this time. I don't know if was this like a really big time for women's lib working in these industries. I don't really know that, but the film kind of
it'd be like first wave feminism.
Yeah, I mean, the film kind of seems to be acting as though, women were not in the police force. Women were not in the subway system before we see this happening. And it's kind of like a new thing. And so I don't know if that's true of, the actual contextual elements to it. Like if somebody was watching in 1973, would they also be thinking like, oh, wow, yeah, a woman working in the subway industry, that's new, and would they also be thinking about that and commenting on it in a similar fashion? And is the film being a little bit progressive in the way that it's commenting on that and saying, yeah, look, there's women here and they're doing the job? I don't really know. I mean, it's kind of an interesting study to go back and look at that. But I do think like, and my complaints about that opening sequence with Matthau walking through the transit is not really so much about the casual racism thrown out. It's actually more so about the fact that it does seem a little overlong in that it is almost like meant for the audience to be explained how the transit authority works.
I'm totally fine with, and I gotta correct myself, second wave feminism, but I'm totally fine with, because again, like, it's interesting to see, especially for early 1970s. Like, okay, what's the tech that's like keeping track of like all of this going on? Sure. Especially because Walter Matthau, he's not doing like, Jack Bauer, John McClane shit. He's literally
true.
Held up at a mic.
Yep.
In the Transit Authority office for 3/4 of the film. So I'm fine with it. And the fact that like, so why would he be explaining this stuff? Well, we have some foreigners from Tokyo here to see like how our subway system works.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
I think it would have been funny though too if they were like responding and he's like, "You must have crime on your subways," and they're like, just people taking pictures of ladies' panties from.
Yeah.
That's about it. There's nobody running around with a gun,
I see it both ways. I did feel like it went a little overlong, but I guess I get what you're saying too. I mean, to see how the transit authority works, to see how, especially like you said, the tech that back then, where basically you have like a pegboard where you just see like where the train might be on the pegboard, is pretty interesting. And and again too, I do think that this movie, for what it's worth, is pretty engaging, despite the fact, like you said, Walter Matthau is stationed basically at like just a desk with a microphone. It's not he's not running around with a machine gun stopping these guys. He's mostly just using brain power. It may actually not even that much brain power sometimes. Because they're basically, it's kind of funny too. The film kind of makes the transit authority look like they don't really do that much most of the time. Like they're sitting around. They might get a couple of odds and ends here and there, but for the most part, there's nothing really that exciting that happens. And so when something exciting does happen, like they're kind of stumped as to what might happen. They're like, first of all, why would somebody want to steal a train? Where are they going to get off? Like, how are they going to get out of this? And for the majority of the film, they are all like, I have no idea what they're doing. Like they're one step behind the hijackers. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic that our heroes are really not that great at foiling the plot. And it kind of is a bit of luck and a bit of, like just foreshadowing that they are able to figure out how to stop at least, a couple of the guys.
You know who would have gotten this crackdown right on the get-go?
Ooh, John Saxon.
Goddamn right.
He would have had it already. He would be on his way. He'd have his coat on and on his way to stop him.
That whole transit authority, like, what a bunch of fucking dingalangs. They're trying to, like, there's a goddamn hijacking, and the one guy's like, "Get off my switchboard there, Matthau. I got a fucking train system to run." And it's
I know. I did think
it's just so funny, like, oh no, like he's like, "Listen here, get off the switchboard. I gotta get this one over to Coney Island."
Yeah, I know. We got a bunch of passengers. The deli sandwiches are getting soggy over here. Yeah, it is funny because he does act this is Dick O'Neill, by the way, the one of the guys as a switchboard operator, and he I would say that his character's a little mismatched because at one point, he hears about Kaz getting shot, and he's like, "God damn it, Kaz! I can't believe fucking Kaz is dead.
I'm not helping them." And it's like, your friend just got murdered, but you're fine with like, what if my buddy gets murdered and gunned down? If those kids do too, well, fuck them.
Yeah. And he's like the tried and staunch Republican of the bunch, where he's just basically like, you're gonna give him money for that shit? No, you guys fucking suck over here. It's pretty funny because, again, like, it doesn't really, his viewpoint doesn't really make a whole lot of sense because, like, if they don't give him money, they're just gonna murder 18 people on a subway train. So like there's really not a whole lot of leeway here. I don't know what he wants him to do. So yeah, that guy himself, it's pretty funny how he reacts. And then I do like how Matthau, who's, he's kind of he could be like a goofy looking nerd with a pocket protector most of the time, and the way he looks and he's, his suit and everything. And then they just have him grab that guy by the scruff of the lapel and stand him up against the desk. And he says, listen here, buddy, I'm running the show right now. So you got a problem, you take it elsewhere. And he just like throws him down. I like that. I like how that, they had Walter Matthau stand up for that, which is, kind of a character trait that you wouldn't necessarily expect from him. So that was pretty cool. What do you think? So like as for the passengers on the train there, when we're in the train system, because we do spend a lot of time within the train with the hijackers, and then outside of it in the transit station. What do you think about the passengers on the train?
Good. It's for every type of heist film like this with there's hostages, you have to. This is DEIA at its finest. You need to have them all. You need to have the Puerto Ricans. You need to have the drunk bum. You need to have the wife with, children. You need to have the worker. You need to hit all those boxes. So if you're like, fuck that guy, you got to have the Black Vietnam War veteran. So you're like, fuck that guy. Oh, I can connect. Listen, if it weren't for this film, where would Speed be?
That's true. It's true.
It's Speed's like the Rainbow Coalition of, hostages. It's the same here, just no Dennis Hopper.
But those goddamn children.
Yeah.
So annoying.
It's so great too. There's times where they're still like they're literally being held at gunpoint. They're like, I gotta play ball. Like,
yeah. And did you see there's one part where they start screaming and the mom just starts beating on them, like, shut up. You shut up.
I mean in that instance, that might be a fight. That's fine parenting, It's like, do you want to smack on the ass or, bullet to the ass? And
yeah,
I do like how, like, when Mr. Blue, like, and they raid the train and they break out their machine guns, and he's like, some machine guns, these here fire 750 rounds a minute of 9mm ammo. You'll all be dead if you ever try to ambush us. Yeah.
Yeah, Robert Shaw has that very smarmy, like by the book sort of like hijacker element to him, where he's like not going to be swayed by anything. He's got a plan. He's, basically he seems like he's the one that came up with it for the most part. And so he's got a plan. He's sticking with it. And he feels like too, if he concedes at all to the transit authority by saying like, no, I won't murder one of these passengers if you don't get it to me on time. Then, obviously that gives them leeway, and they've got to, they've already broken their threats. So I do like that whole idea. I think Robert Shaw's really good in this movie. To be honest with you, because of the disguises they wear, especially those awesome mustaches and the hats, he's actually hard to recognize, especially like if you think about him just like 2 years later in Jaws as Quint, looks nothing like Quint from Jaws, but it's the same dude. And of course, alcoholism was one of the agers of Robert Shaw as well, because he would have died not long after Jaws. But yeah, I mean, it's surprising to see him here, and then the same type of see him again in Jaws. Just does not resemble each other. And then the other thing that I wanted to point out too is I think Hector Elizondo looks awesome as Mr. Gray. He's got this like, because he's supposed to be like prior mafia. They talk about how he got kicked out of the mafia because he just he couldn't be trusted basically to not murder people. And so you got this like he's got this nice like sinister character trait to him where you don't really know what he's going to do at any one time. So I love that. I really want that mustache hat combo that he's wearing. I think that looks great. And then Martin Balsam as Mr. Green, I like him. I like him as a character. I feel like, he is an important part of the film because it's one of the people as a hijacker that you can, as an audience member, you can kind of relate to in a way. Cause he's trying to do the right thing. And you're like, he's the one guy that you might say like, well, you know what? Maybe they're not that bad, cause he's trying to kind of sway things from being actually like murdering these hostages. He's your in as the audience member to be like, you know what? I see a little bit of empathy for them, which I think is great because it leads to the end of the movie as well, which he's the one that actually ends up being able to walk away from the train and eventually, gets caught at the end anyway. So you have that sort of like that empatheticness of like, oh, maybe he's going to get away with it. And you're like, I don't know, maybe I should be okay with him getting away with it. At least one of the guys got out. And then you don't get that at the end, which I think is pretty interesting. How about the way that there's a cop on board the train? What do you think about that? Because Carell keeps basically saying like, "Who's this guy on the train? What is he doing? Why isn't he doing anything to stop them? Why isn't he?"
I hope it's not Lady Cop.
Yeah, exactly. That's fucking hilarious.
I hope it's not a dame.
So first of all, it's fucking hilarious when he goes to jump off the very slowly moving train, which they've just gotten started. He's going after them, and he just biffs it completely, falls off of the train, like God's Gun style or whatever the fucking movie is, and does like a barrel roll out the train and knocks himself out for a while. That is hilarious. I was laughing, and at first I thought he did that on purpose. I was like, wow, that was quite the roll off the back of the train there. But I think it was meant to be an accident. But then not only that, at the end of the film, after he gets shot and Walter Matthau takes down Blue, basically Blue kills himself. But when he rescues the police officer, it's hilarious when he just says, "Don't worry, ma'am, the police are coming," or something like, "Help is on the way." He thinks it's a woman. That's fucking hilarious because he's got long hair. I was laughing so hard at that because it's just like kind of a throwaway line because of all the times that the film has mentioned like it might be a woman cop on a train. And he just says, because he has long hair, he says, "Don't worry, ma'am," or something like that. It's fucking so funny. Which I think like, again, another thing I wanted to point out about Pelham 123 is this movie doesn't take itself extraordinarily seriously. Like it does at times, right? It's not like I'm saying the film is, completely aloof and like goofy all the time. It's not, but it does have a good sense of humor to it as well, where it plays in both a suspenseful nature and a more like lighthearted comedic nature because you have that with Walter Matthau. And I really like that. There's definitely a difference here between Pelham 123 and, some of the other like 70s hard-boiled movies that we've covered where
like French Connection.
Right, like French Connection, where they take themselves, extremely seriously. I really like the comedy element to this movie. I think it works pretty well. What about you?
No, it's great. You got like Kaz being like, "Come on, how can I watch my language if they just let a few broads in? How am I going to quit? How the hell am I going to run a goddamn railroad without swearing?"
Dude, that's so funny too when he says it in such a like over the top way. He goes, "If I have to stop swearing, I'm gonna quit my job. I'm gonna fucking quit my job." Like it's just so over the top. I love it. Oh man, hilarious.
I would say there's a fucking bunch of like great lines. Like you can't just keep saying the same. Like after Mr. Blue's like 49 minutes, Mr. Garber, 49 minutes. You just can't keep saying the same thing. 48 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. The film has a lot of those lines where it's like sort of if you're not listening closely, you might miss it, and then you kind of have to go back and like think about it again because they're like really, I don't know, they're just there and all like quick. And, again, like I said, it's not like this movie is super goofy. It definitely has serious moments, but at the same time, it does have those throwaway funny lines that you just like, they just hit when they hit. So I love it.
Why should the mayor give $1 million? What do you think? And at least it's 18 guaranteed votes.
Dude, we haven't even talked about the mayor at all. The mayor is fucking hilarious as well. It's like quite a blatant, pointed, jab at the mayor of New York City to say like, wow, the mayor's fucking hated. And, doesn't know what the hell he's doing, is basically, the emperor without clothes. I love that part. Like it's also kind of shoehorned into the movie, but it's really great. How they have the mayor in here and constantly getting booed. There's a lot, like I would say this movie does a great job too of having secondary characters that really feel fleshed out. Even the police, the head police commissioner or whatever, who's leading the ground level crew. It's great. He's got a great personality to him. Everybody really has a nice, well-rounded personality, even if they're just a secondary character in this movie, which I think is great. We also, Jerry Stiller's in this movie. Great to see. I love Jerry Stiller in everything he's in.
Didn't age one bit.
I love the fact that he has like a fucking lion mane in this movie. Like when Jerry Stiller in his prime, his hair was, and it makes sense too, because he was in a Tales from the Dark Side episode where he basically turned into a werewolf. And you could see it really, because he definitely had like a lion's mane of hair. He's great. He's great in this movie. Like he doesn't get a lot to do. But at the same time, like he just shows up enough where you're like, Jerry Stiller, you're great. I love you. Love Jerry Stiller. Wish he lived forever. And then not only that, Doris Roberts is in this movie too. Very quick. It's the mayor's wife. She does not look like, if you think about Doris Roberts, you probably would recognize her more from the 80s and the 90s, and Everybody Loves Raymond and Vacation.
Mom, how come you love Raymond more than me?
All right, Frank Grown. But like here, really quick, it's basically blink and you miss her. But she's in the background, and she's the one that says that about the 18 votes and everything, and basically is telling the mayor how to run the city. So really cool to see her here as well. Yeah, and so let's see, what else have we talked about? Oh, one thing I wanted to bring up. So it's really nice how the film throughout the whole movie shows Mr. Green with a cold, right? So like right at the beginning, it's it's obviously flu season because the mayor has flu as well. Mr. Green seems sick. He's on a train, constantly sick, coughing, sneezing. Do you remember those Blistex nose things that he's got?
Those like
the nose
spooters. They like spoot into your nose.
I guess, yeah, whatever you call them. Yeah, they were like little Blistex, almost like chapstick that you stuck in your nose. And this movie has that. He's got one of those, and I do remember those, but I don't see those around anymore. Have you seen those around?
No.
Do they sell those anymore?
I don't even think they make. I don't even think they make the. I don't even think. I would say I don't even think they make the like. I would say like the nasal strips anymore, do they?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, because I know it's basically like the eucalyptus or whatever, the Vicks, right, that you put underneath your nose. It's like that, like a nasal decongestant. But they used to have those Blistex things. I do distinctly remember them, even at my age, where you would basically, it's like a little chapstick that you rolled up, and then you stuck it in your nose and you just sniffed in like cocaine, and you just inhaled a little bit of that, and you're not congested for a little while. And he's got one of those in there, and it reminded me, and I was thinking like, I don't see anybody with those anymore. Like it's just funny. It was a blast from the past.
It does make you think that he's like doing a line of coke. You're not wrong.
Right. Like
you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all.
Maybe it was just the connotation of somebody pulling out like a tube like that and just
going, you want some kid? Like you should.
I wonder if they were addicted too. Like maybe just the mechanism of doing that constantly was just addicting. So people got addicted to sucking in eucalyptus a lot. I don't know. But yeah, it just reminded me. I was like, yeah, I don't see people with those anymore. And not only that, there's a Black Velvet ad in the train as well.
Ooh,
I don't remember seeing Black Velvet ads very often. It's pretty great.
Because it's garbage.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So we didn't get to it, but what do you think about the end? So like none of the guys make it, right? Mr. Blue basically kills himself. He's a kind of a hardened soldier guy, and so he's not going down.
What a nice way to go to when Matthau's got him cornered and figured out, and he's like got the gun pointed at him, and he's like, "Is this state? Is execution legal or no? No, not at the moment. Why? Good. I'm sorry to hear that." And then he, electrocutes himself on the third rail of like the subway. Very creative, like,
Yep. And a thing that the film had been foreshadowing for a while too, because it constantly they keep bringing up like, watch the third rail, especially for people that don't know subways, never been on a subway before. They really hammer home the third rail being electrified. So,
but no, I do like the fact that like at the end it's like this just Curb Your Enthusiasm ending. It's great. Like they show up to the Mr. Green's house, and
right, because they know
he's rolling around in the money, and they figure it out. Like well, who could it be? And he's rolling around in his money, and then they show up, and they're getting ready. Like he gets the okey doke on them, and he sneezes, and after they leave, and then he says, Walter Matthau says, "Gesundheit," and pops his head back and like that. I know that sneeze from anywhere, and like just like bum 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 bum.
I'm very surprised that the face in the freeze frame that it's at the end of the movie has not become a meme, because it is very memeable in the way that he's looking through the door frame like that. I mean, it's hard to describe. Walter Matthau has a very distinctive, very personalized facial expression.
Especially at this time, very jolly. He's
very jolly. Yep, I agree. It's like he has such a
Nixonian.
Yep. Very true. Very true. Very Nixonian. It's like the jowl in that sequence just keeps going, and you're like, yes. How could he have so much jowl? How could it just keep going? His mouth is so huge in that, and it's just great. It's just you can't ask for anything better in that final scene. I don't know how many times they had to shoot that, but like the final product was perfect. It's just, excellent. And again, too, it's something that the film foreshadows very well, that that he's going to get caught here. And you, like the audience, you're just expecting it. And it just keeps building, and it kind of does this like bait and switch. You're like, oh, they're going to find the money somewhere. The money's in the oven, and they're going to go find it. And they don't find it. And then, they're about to leave the apartment, and like, oh, they're not going to find it. And then they kind of bait and switch you again, and then he sneezes. It's a great lead up to it. I think it works really well. Again, it's really built in comedy, and Walter Matthau does a really good job with that. I mean, of course, he's a great comedian. All done just so well. I really enjoyed it. I think that they, all of these things really lead up to a really fun movie overall. Anything else that we didn't talk about?
I think that's about it as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think we covered it. I think we covered most of everything that. Well, actually, we didn't talk about the title of the movie, Pelham 123. What does Pelham 123 mean?
The station that it left at the time.
Yeah. I think it's pretty cool too. And again, that's part of the whole transit authority thing that they go through at the beginning of the movie, where they effectively lay out the reason why it's called Pelham 123. They basically tell you that. So if you don't know it, but just by going into the movie, the transit authority part will cue you in. So I thought that was a little bit clever. It's pretty cool. So, all right. So on a scale of 0 to 10, barrel rolls off the back of a train, what would you give to taking a Pelham 123?
I'll give it an 8 out of 10. It's a great movie. It's a lot of fun. It's one of those films, again, I hate to say it a billion times, but it's one of the films that was once probably a big part of the zeitgeist. It's kind of gotten shuttered off to the side in the last 15, 20 years. This is a great heist film. Very engaging, very fun. Especially for a film that's basically just them standing around in either a comm center or a train car. A lot of great tension, a lot of great build-up. great ideas, great plot. Walter Matthau is great. Robert Shaw is great. Jerry Stiller, when you see him, Jerry Stiller, amazing. This is just a really good heist film. It's you can totally view it as like a modern, modern Western, neo-noir classic. It's got a great sense of humor. Doesn't take itself super seriously, but it is, it knows what it is. So 8 out of 10. I would tell anyone to watch this film, and it's great.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with you. 8 out of 10. It's kind of going back and forth, 7.5 or an 8, but I think after talking through it, I really enjoyed it. I think it's a lot of fun. Like I said, it has a great mix of that suspense and comedy, because it can be pretty suspenseful, especially like, I'm not saying that it doesn't have its fair share of like, more sinister moments. They shoot a guy in the back and they throw off the train. So, of course there are some darker moments to it, but at the same time, it has a nice comedy element with Walter Matthau that kind of brings it, and kind of puts it in middle ground, which I like. Normally I'm not like a huge fan of something that tries to make the movie a little bit more lighthearted than it needs to be. But in this case, I think that it works perfectly well. My one complaint is maybe just it takes a little bit too long for some of the sequences, maybe a little drawn out here and there. But for the most part, I think it's a really well done movie. It has some nice chase sequences, which we didn't even talk about, they're not really chase sequences, I guess, but they're like running down the clock sequences. So to ramp up the tension. Walter Matthau's great. Robert Shaw's great. Pretty much all the hijackers are awesome. I like the get-ups and everything. Neo-noir element is really nice. The extension of the Western hijacking or heist film is great here too, and really felt. So there's really not anything to dislike about this movie. If you like action movies, you like Westerns, you're going to like Taken Pelham 1, 2, 3. Now, I'm curious to see what they did with the remake, to see if it, like, to me, it basically looks like a 1-to-1 remake. Like, the film is even, like, the same amount of time. It's, like, the same length. So I wonder if it is, like, a 1-to-1 remake just retold in, contemporary 2009. But I am curious to see what they did with that and see how, like, John Travolta is in that movie. Just to kind of
probably super John Travolta.
Yeah, that's my guess. Just based on like the poster artwork and everything. That's my guess. But so I'm curious to see that one. But I don't think anything can top the original. It's just a really cool movie. Really cool heist idea. So very, very fun. It's a good pick. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm a man of great taste.
I think next time we'll probably try to get out of the 70s vigilante action New York City escape there, but because we've been kind of mired in the same ideas here for a little bit, but we like what we like. I don't know what to say. That's why people tune in, I guess, for the same ideas. So
exactly.
Yeah.
I have an idea for next time.
Oh, sure. Shoot it out there.
What's a long-running slasher franchise that just won't seem to die? That's coming back to theaters next week.
I Know What You Did Last Summer?
No, I wish.
I wish. Well, they are remaking. They're making a new one, but
really,
yeah, they are. Yeah.
When's that coming?
Pretty soon. They've got most of the. Even Freddie Prinze Jr. is coming back, which he hasn't really done much acting recently.
No, he just fucks his wife.
It's pretty much true. What are you talking about?
Final Destination.
Oh, that's right. Yes, Final Destination. There's getting a new one there.
Yeah, Bloodline or whatever.
We haven't done any of them.
I know, which is kind of shocking. But, that was just an idea. We don't have to. Nothing hard. I was gonna see what you're throwing out there.
Were you proposing to see the new one? Is that what?
Because it's going to be
the original or something. Oh yeah. I mean, we could. It's next week. Is it in theaters next week? I can't remember.
This 16th, I guess.
16th. So let's see. Let's just take a look at the old calendar here. So that would be actually, so we wouldn't be able to make it. Or we would, right? So because we were going to take a break next week and go see it, and we would see it, and then we would be back for it. So yeah, we could do that. We could do the new one. I'm not really up on my Final Destinations. Actually, I think I've only seen like the first two, and then from there I haven't really seen.
Wow.
Them. But I don't think you need to.
I was gonna say wow, because I've only seen the first two as well, and I haven't seen them in forever.
I don't think the Grim Reaper though discriminates if you haven't seen the others. I don't think he's like, does he have a cannon that he's using for his?
Which one has like the roller coaster?
Three has
three. I do remember. I think
that. I do remember the roller coaster. I mean, obviously, I remember it, but yeah. It's also on the poster, so I guess you would know.
I mean, like, don't you think we have to do all of them, seeing as we've done James Wong's?
It would make sense to do it in like a Halloween.
All right. Well, I guess I'm just an idiot racist because I was mixing up my guy who also did Saw.
Oh yeah, right. I'm surprised you didn't recommend something like the new Until Dawn.
No. I've
seen that one get lambasted, so.
I've played only part of the game, and I thought it was okay.
Yeah, same for me. I only played part of it, and I was like,
I could play it, but I just I just wasn't in the mood for it at the time.
Yeah, no,
I would definitely be more engaged because that was also with like the horror games that came with PlayStation 5. I'd rather play that than Resi 7. Resi 7 sucks.
Yeah,
but then again,
I've heard that Until Dawn, the movie, is really not anything similar to the game. So it's.
Is it directed by Uwe Boll?
Let's do
an Uwe Boll month. You know,
if we want to kill ourselves. But.
Well, listen. Here's the thing: if you're a millennial of a certain time period of pissy, YouTubers, like the angry video game nerd, nostalgia critic, and stuff. Uwe Boll would be right in the wheelhouse of shitty films, but I feel like at this time they're probably not even like that whole annoyingly numbingly I just want to kill myself bad. They're probably just this is bad.
yeah. All right, yeah. So we can do Final Destination for next time. That sounds good.
Man, that I Know What You Did Last Summer 2025 poster looks pretty bland.
Yeah, it does. It looks like it could have been.
Danny McBride and them. They got nothing better to do.
Yeah. It looks definitely like a direct-to-video 2005 movie.
It looks like the whatever Exorcist movie that we saw. This poster, the white with the.
You know what the other thing is? 3 writers. Not a good sign.
Somebody should. I mean, I know it's not a Blumhouse film, but somebody should tell Danny McBride, like, hey, you guys have ruined enough stuff now.
Yeah.
Just go back to doing funny things.
Leave them alone.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to our episode on the Taken Pelham 123. We hope you enjoyed it.
Oh my God. Kevin Williamson wrote this.
Wrote
the new I Know What You Did Last Summer.
No, he didn't.
Oh, I'm just kidding.
No. I was saying, no, he didn't. No, he didn't.
That's how you know it's going to be good.
Yeah, so thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, subscribe to us. We're on pretty much any podcast app. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, any place that you listen to podcasts. We're there. Subscribe, leave us a nice review. Always helps us out. We're on Facebook and Blue Sky. You can like and follow us there. We have an email address at bloodblackrumpodcast@gmail.com where you can write to us, let us know what you like, what you don't like, what movies you want us to cover, and we'll keep that in consideration. And you can also donate to us at our Patreon page or our Spotify page. Anything you donate goes back towards beer, so we appreciate that in advance. Again, thanks for listening. Hope you come back for next episodes. And until then,
take care.